أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الصلاة والسلام على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And it's the 13th of Ramadan. Now these 3 days, 13th, 14th and 15th, are known as Ayyamul Bid. They're known as the lighted days, the energized days. You know, on these days, Imam Sadiq says, whoever prays during the nights and days of Ayyamul Bid stands at the doors of abundant favors and fountains. It's phenomenal. So you can imagine the Prophet is praying at Maqam Ibrahim, and Jibreel comes, and after greeting him, gives him a dua as a gift. And I talked about it yesterday. It's Dua Al Mujeer, and he says, for forgiveness of sins, even if they are more than the raindrops that fall during spring, and more than the leaves that fall in autumn. So you know what? Recite this dua. If not, at least pray in these 3 days. They're phenomenal days. We'll talk a little bit about Dua Al Mujeer later on at the end. But first, let's look at Recite Qur'an. Recite with me. It's the first ayah of the 13th juz. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وما أبرئ نفسي إن النفس الأمارة بالسوء إلا ما رحم ربي إن ربي غفور رحيم. This is so awesome. This is from Surah Yusuf. So we're saying, Allah is telling us teaching us to say, وَمَا أُبَرِّئُ نَفْسِي. I'm not free. I declare myself. What happens to me? The human being has a soul, and inside that soul, there's that voice sometimes that says some things that are not very good. It says not to do some good things. So Allah says, "Inna nafsal ammaratun bisu." That nafs is known as nafsal ammara, the one that tells you not to do good things. The only way we're saved from them is illa ma rahima rabbi, except with the mercy, with the kindness of our Rabb. So always Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim before you do anything. And you're not going to steal or gossip or do anything wrong if you say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, are you? So you're saying, Ya Allah, with your rahmah, protect me from this. Inna Rabbi Ghafurur Rahim. Your Rabb is Ghafurun Rahim. So continuously, Ya Ghafur, Ya Rahim. I know as a child, my dad used to tell me, inside you, there are two animals as such. There's a wolf, and then he would say there's a wolf and there's an angel, not two animals. And he would say, the one that you feed is the one that'll be the stronger one. So you either feed your angel or you feed your wolf, or you feed the one that is bad in you. It's entirely up to you. And that's exactly what this is saying. We have to protect ourselves, and for that we need the help of Allah. So always Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim. Always Bismillah Rahman Rahim before you do anything. And Ya Ghafur and Ya Rahim. But let's recite the du'as for the month of Ramadan. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا علي يا عظيم يا غفور يا رحيم أنت الرب العظيم الذي ليس كمثله شيء وهو السميع البصير وهذا شهر عظمته وكرمته وشرفته وفضلته على الشهور وهو الشهر الذي فرضت صيامه عليه وهو شهر رمضان الذي أنزلت فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان وجعلت فيه ليلة القدر وجعلتها خيرا من 1000 شهر فيا ذا المن ولا يمن عليك من علي بفكاك رقبتي من النار في من تمن علي وادخلني الجنة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم أدخل على أهل القبور السرور اللهم أغني كل فقير اللهم أشبع كل جائع اللهم اكسو كل عريان اللهم اقضي دين كل مدين اللهم فرج عن كل مكروب اللهم رد كل غريب اللهم فك كل أسير اللهم أصلح كل فاسد من أمور المسلمين اللهم اشف كل مريض اللهم سد فقرنا بغناك اللهم غير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك اللهم اقضي عنا الدين وأغننا من الفقر إنك على كل شيء قدير. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم رب شهر رمضان الذي أنزلت فيه القرآن وافترضت على عبادك فيه الصيام، صل على محمد وآل محمد وارزقني حج بيتك الحرام في عام هذا وفي كل عام، واغفر لي تلك الذنوب العظام فإنه لا يغفرها غيرك يا رحمن يا علام. We will now recite the dua for the 13th day of the month of Ramadan. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم طهرني فيه من الدنس والأقدار، وصبرني فيه على قائنات الأقدار، ووفقني فيه للتقى وصحبة الأبرار، بعونك يا قرة عين المساكين. O Allah, on this day, purify me for everything that is unclean and not nice inside me, the evil, the awful. Just purify me. وَصَبِّرْنِي فِيهِ عَلَى قَائِنَةِ الْأَقْدَارِ. Make me persevere, have patience about the things that are decreed, things that I cannot change. Let me have patience in accepting them. But that means let me try my best and then hand it over to you. وَوَفِّقْنِي فِيهِ لِلتَّقَى وَصُحْبَتِهِ الْأَبْرَارِ. Help me to always be in the company of those who are righteous. Bi'awnika, with your help. Ya qurrat ayn al-masakin. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, the light of the eyes of those who have nothing. We say, Ya Allah, you're my qurrat ayn. You're the one who makes my eyes light up. But we're going to go back to Sura Al Qamar and look at today. We're going to look, oh my goodness, we're going up a bit. We're going to look at the third section. So let's go back again. Surah number 54, Surah Al Qamar, Surah of the Moon, and 55 ayat. 8 sections. You got to remember that. Focus of Surah Al Qamar, we all know, is number 1, the splitting of the moon. Obviously, that's where it gets its name. But the focus is really those people who didn't listen. The people of Ad, Thamud, the people of Lut, the people of Iran, who didn't listen to the divine guidance, and they got destroyed, and they even tried to kill their prophets. Okay, so that's how bad they were. And we find that in this surah, there is 4 times Allah says, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. Is there anybody who can put a little bit of effort into the Quran so that we may be able to make it easy for them? So really important to understand. And we find Allah sent punishments on all these people. So let's see what we're looking at now, which is section 3, and this is Prophet Hud and the people of Ad. So let's talk about him, and so sit back and listen. Now, generations had passed since Prophet Noah had died, and the descendants of Ad. Ad was the great-great-grandson of Prophet Noah. So they settled in the southern part of Arabia, and they were organized into 13 different tribes. They had a common ancestor, Ad, so they were all known as Ad. So you can imagine these people are known as Ad. And you know what? Allah had blessed them a lot. Not only had they blessed with, they were physically fit, they had green pastures, but they also had these wonderful advanced technological skills. They didn't have the machines we have today, but they had these skills whereby in the sandstone mountains of Yemen, they actually carved out pillars and made beautiful homes. Then this particular city was called the City of Pillars. It was known as Iram. So they were really smart people, and they'd been blessed by a lot. They had fountains, they had gardens, everything around these mountains. And people used to look at them and think, oh my goodness. But they got arrogant. They got really proud. They said, oh, we've done all this. This is everything we've done. And suddenly, they not only did they become unjust, but they lost their manners. They lost their morals. They stopped being good human beings. They thought, well, we've done all this. We can do what we like. And amongst them was born a man. His name was Hud. And he was born in a really prominent and honorable family of Iram. He was a merchant by profession. He was smart. He came from a good family. He was also quite affluent. But the thing about him was he was always honest, and he had a lot of integrity. He always spoke the truth, and he was very, very trustworthy, just like the Prophet. And everybody thought, you know what? this guy is going to be our leader. He was also very good looking. His name was Hud. Hud comes from Hidayah, guidance. So the word was guidance as well, because he would take people out of the darkness towards Allah. So at about age 40, somebody else started at 40, the Prophet, yeah. So at about age 40, he started telling him, you should be worshipping Allah. You should really understand that to reach your full potential, you have to listen to the Prophet sent by Allah, and you will be accountable. So he talked to him about usul, right? Tawheed, Adala goes with Tawheed, Nabuwa, that you must listen to your prophets, and that Qiyamah, then there'll be a day when you will have to account for everything you did. And they said, you're telling us? And the leader said, if God wished to send somebody, he would have sent angels. And he said, no, look, I'm telling you the truth. I'm amongst you. I'm telling you how to become good. They said, we see you as one of the liars. You're telling us that we should stop doing everything our forefathers told us to do. We're not going to do that. And when he didn't stop, because Jibreel told him, you have to go on. You can't stop. They beat him up so badly that sometimes he would just lie out for 3 days. They did the same thing to Prophet Nuh. Now, there were some people amongst him who were believers, and they always thought that when Prophet Nuh told them that somebody would come to save them, they always thought that Prophet Hud was the person who would save them out of this. And these people didn't listen. And Prophet Hud said, Ya Allah, they're not listening. Allah sent them a drought. A drought means there was no rain. And it was quite bad. And he said, look, ask for forgiveness, and Allah will send you down rain. He said, just ask for forgiveness. They were arrogant. They said, no, we do things ourselves. What is all this? We're not going to ask for forgiveness. We haven't done anything wrong. We can do this. We will go through this. They didn't listen to him at all. Well, Allah tells him, Hud, I think, because he raises his hands and he said, Ya Allah, they're just not listening. So then Allah says, you need to leave. So Prophet Hud and the other believers, they all leave. So they leave Iram, and just as they look back, there's like a storm brewing, and the people of Iram think, oh, that's probably because Prophet Hud is gone, so maybe it was good for us, and they're thinking it's gonna be rain, and they gathered underneath it. But you know what? For 7 nights and 8 days, there was this really, really strong wind, and Iram was destroyed. Prophet Hud went to Makkah. This is where Makkah is now, and he's buried near the Kaaba. But the people of Ad, because of their arrogance, were completely destroyed. Now, Allah promises, this is Surah number 8, ayah 33, that whilst the Prophet is amongst us, he will never send punishments. He also said, if you continue to istighfar, then you ask for forgiveness, he will never punish us. It's really, really important to continue to do istighfar. Well, let's look at the surah now. كذبت, this is ayah 18. كذبت عاد. The people of Ad, they told lies about the Prophet. In other words, they took it as a lie. They didn't take it as a truth. Now Allah says, فَكَيْفَ كَانَ عَذَابِي وَالنَّكِيرِ. How was my punishment and my warnings? Inna arsalna alayhim, we sent down on them rihan is a wind, sarsaran, it was cold, fi yawmin nahsin, on a day that was awful, mustamir, right? So we gotta understand the words that Allah is saying here. Nahsin is cursed, mustamir is continuous, and I told you it was continuous for 7 nights and 8 days. Tanzi on nasa. Naza'a means to pluck out. There's a surah called Surah Al-Naziyat. So people were plucked out. Ka'annahum, like a'ajazu nakhlin, like the roots of palm trees. Munqa'ir, all torn apart. Can you imagine how this wind might have been? فَكَيْفَ كَانَ أَذَابِي وَالنُّذُرِ. How was my punishment and my warnings? And then he says, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. Is there anyone who will put in a little bit of effort, muddakir, and we will make the Quran easy for them to internalize. So really important for us, especially in these days of 13, 14, 15, to pray and say, Ya Allah, please help me love the Quran. Please let me internalize the Quran. Please let me use the Quran to reach my full potential. Now I said that the recommended dua is called Dua Al Mujeer, And we talked about it, how the Prophet was praying at Maqam Ibrahim and Jibreel brings him this gift of Dua al Mujeer. It's phenomenal. It's got all the Asma al Husna in it. And 88 times Allah says, Ajirna minan nari ya Mujeer. Jar is neighbor. Ajirna minan nar is protect me, keep me safe. Nar is fire, from the fire. Give me refuge like a neighbor gives me refuge. Give me that refuge. Ya Mujeer. Oh, the one who protects, oh, the one who defends, oh, the one who looks after. And in between, there are all these Asma al Husna. Please try and read Dua al Mujeer in these 3 most awesome days and nights. So let us recite a Surah Al-Fatiha. Ask Allah to give the thawabs to all the marhumeen. Pray for those who are ill and those who are in trouble. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'een. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Close your eyes, ask Allah to give the thawabs to all the marhumeen. Pray for those who are ill and those who are in trouble. لي خمسة أطفي بها حر الوباء الحاتمة المصطفى والمرتضى وأبناهما والفاطمة. جزاكم الله خير. إن شاء الله I'll see you tomorrow. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم.